Hello, hello, everybody. How y'all doing tonight? Y'all come on in. Welcome to a very special conversation. I'm here with Minister Emily. And for those who don't know me, I'm Minister Keldrick Porter, and we're both from Elm Grove Baptist Church. Minister Emily is our student minister, and we're excited for all of you to be joining us on tonight. So y'all go ahead, come on in, invite someone to join us, and you know how we do it. When you come in, tell us who you are and where you're watching us. I was about to say where you're calling from, but where you're watching us on tonight. Make sure if you're on Facebook, do start a watch party, share it with your family and friends, and if you're on YouTube, you know to give us a big thumbs up. And also, if you haven't done so, hit the red subscribe button and the bell to receive a. How you doing, Miss? We have a great time. How you doing, Miss Emily? Doing good today?
Very good. Very good. Very good. So excited about our discussion today.
Cool.
So many questions. I cannot wait
Yes.
to get started and jump right on in today. We are
Yes.
here to talk about the different challenges, what's going on amid the pandemic, and to field questions from our community, what it is like parenting and educating in the pandemic. So I'm really looking forward. We have some
I'm
excellent
excited.
guests. Can't wait to see what's in store.
I'm excited about it. You ready?
Oh, yeah. Let's go.
All right, let's go. All right, tonight our guests they will introduce themselves. We're bringing on a familiar face to the Grove, Dr. A. What's up?
Hi, everybody. I'm
How you
Dr.
doing?
Domain. I am doing well. How are you?
We're doing good. Tell us a little bit about yourself for those who don't know you.
Okay, well, I am a veteran educator. I have a brand new title as of last night. I am acting superintendent for the City of Baker School System. And I'm grateful for the privilege. Thank you very much. I am the wife of the very dynamic Pastor Errol Domain, Dr. Errol Domain of the Elm Grove Baptist Church, and pastor of the New Canaan Baptist Church as well, and mom to Azaria. So glad to be in the house.
Glad to have you. All right, we're
So
bringing
good to
on
have
our
you.
next guest.
Mom to Azaria.
How you doing, Principal Thomas?
I am good, and I am so pleased and honored to be invited here tonight. I'm excited to meet and speak with all of you.
All right.
Well,
Next
good
week,
to
we're
have you here.
lucky.
How's
We're
everybody?
blessed to have two parents joining us on tonight. We're going to bring in Miss Zuri. Hello, Zuri.
Hi, everybody. How you doing?
Good. Tell us about yourself.
My name is Zuri. I'm one of the elementary teachers for Youth Church at Elm Grove. Mom of two boys, and I'm a registered nurse. Work at Blue Cross Blue Shield. Happy to be
Well,
here.
glad to have you. And we're bringing on our last guest, Miss Shawanda. How you doing?
Hi, everyone. I'm Shawanda Johnson. I'm happy to be here tonight.
Hello.
Welcome, welcome. Okay, so we know how we do it when we're on live. We like to have a little bit of fun. Okay, and guess one thing. When you're not speaking, I ask that you just mute your mic so that we don't get feedback. Okay. All right. So we're going to kick it off with two questions. All right. We have a lot of people in the chat box. Y'all keep the comments coming. Make sure if you're just joining in that you have liked the video, that you have shared the video. If you're on Facebook, start that good watch party. Dr. A. Azaria says hello to you. All right, we're going to get started. So everybody, this is for everyone. We want you to think about. All right, when you were growing up, think of elementary school. What word or phrase would your parent or parents use to describe you as an elementary student? All right, and we're going to kick it to Minister Emily first. Put you on the spot, Minister Emily.
Oh, no
What
worries.
word?
One word kept coming up over and over again was inquisitive. I asked a lot of questions. I still do. I was a very curious child.
Okay. Okay. Inquisitive. All right, let's go to Dr. A next.
Okay, this was a while ago. I recall them teasing. Well, not teasing. Well, yeah, they teased me because I was a reader. I love books, so um, I a bookworm. I was a bookworm. My mom would say, "Put the book down. Put the book down and go play outside. Put the book down and stop reading." So, bookworm. I still am. Look at me.
Right. Right. All right, let's go to Miss Shawanda. What word or phrase would your parent or parents use to describe you as an elementary student?
Talkative. And that's kind of still
Talkative.
today. I would talk to anybody about anything.
Okay. Talkative. All right. Zuri.
I love it.
Probably a nerd or a perfectionist. I think my dad teased me a lot when I used to cry if I got a B. I had to make all A, so I would cry if I made a B.
Okay. And in the
Ooh.
comment section, y'all drop your words. We want to know what you were called as an elementary
Yeah.
student as well, or child. Y'all drop what you would be described as in the comment section.
Yeah.
And last but not least, Principal Thomas.
My parents would definitely call me outgoing.
Okay.
And it gotten to the point where we would get to school and they wouldn't know who my mother is, but because we looked alike, it was like, oh, well, you must be Angela's mother. So definitely always out, always talking to everybody and just wanting to be a part of whatever was going on at school.
All right. Cool. Hand claps for everybody. Hand claps as we do snaps for everybody. All right. Next, second question. Then we're going to dig deep into the conversation. All right. Second question. Think of one item that you would select to describe your personality today. All right. Think about it. Take 10 seconds. One item that you would select or you would choose to describe your personality today. All right. And I'll take whoever wants to go first. Just unmute yourself.
Oh, I guess
I'll
I have
go.
to.
All right. Prince,
And I might be
Go.
cheating a little
Principal
bit.
Tom. Uh-oh.
If you look behind me, I have a
Okay.
wall of shows that I've been in. It goes back to a whole little outgoing thing.
Yeah.
I love to perform. I love to be on stage. And I get on stage every time I possibly can. So that definitely represents my personality and what I love to do.
All right. Let's kick it to Miss Shawanda. I see you muted.
Okay. I would have to say currently I have a binder because I've been
Okay.
lately trying to stay organized and get everybody in the house organized.
Okay. A bind. Okay. Let's go to Zuri. Miss Zuri.
Mine would have to be a pillow.
Okay.
I try to stay very laid back and chill, despite all the craziness that's going on. I still try to, make sure I stay relaxed and I got my pillow to rest
All
when I
right.
need to.
Cool. Okay. I see Dr. A is grabbing something good, huh? All right. You up, Dr. A.
Okay, I'm a candle.
Okay.
Yeah, I like to spread light everywhere I go.
All right. Cool.
Illuminate. I illuminate.
All right. I love it. Y'all ready to get into the conversation?
I love that.
Y'all ready? All right, Minister Emily. Oh, I didn't go. I actually would use my phone and my iPad. Social media, emails, calendar, everything is right here. My whole life is on this phone. So, in tech, I love tech. So I would use this as what would describe me. Cool. All right. Minister Emily, it's on you. You ready?
Very good.
All right, and I'll see y'all in just a
I
bit.
guess I should share it before I go,
Oh, go ahead. I'm
Miss
sorry.
KJ, before I go, I would say I always have journals everywhere I go. I'm always writing, researching, reading the whole thing. That goes back to that being inquisitive. So, today, we are in the midst of a global pandemic. And so that arises different challenges. And as a parent, as we're sending our kids back to school and transitioning in this hybrid model and face to face, or do we remain virtual? We're left with so many questions up in the air. And so today, I would hope that we are going to engage and address some of those to get some tips and some encouragement on what we can do as parents as well, and how we can support the teachers and the administrators, the educators, and we'll get the conversation started. I'm going to ask each of our panelists about 3 to 4 questions each. And then also, please, everybody that's online, jump in, ask questions. We want to make sure that we're covering as much as we can during this discussion as well. Um, so let's get started. All right, Dr. Domain in the house here, Superintendent Domain. Let's begin with you today. Let's see. Could you provide us an overview of where the schools are various learning models?
Okay, I'm sorry, you're freezing on me a little bit, Minister Emily. I, I did not hear
Oh,
all of your
that's all
questions.
right. All right. Could you give us an overview of kind of where schools are in the preparation process as we transition through the different learning models?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, yes. Where our schools,
Can you hear?
first of all, each school district may be in a different place. So what each phase looks like in each school system, there's going to be some variation in that. At this point in general, most schools have at least some students on the campus doing in-person learning, whether they are doing it 5 days a week, whether the kids are there 5 days a week, or whether the kids are there for maybe 1 or 2 days a week. And then those other days they are at home doing distance learning. When the kids are on campus, all schools should be implementing those CDC guidelines that have been underscored by the state and provided to all school leaders and system leaders, where kids in grades 3 and above are wearing masks. All adults on the campus should be wearing masks. There should be hand sanitizing stations throughout the schools. There should be an emphasis on those hygiene behaviors that are designed to protect our students. There should be social distancing happening in all schools. When you go into a classroom, the desks or the chairs or however they are sitting, they should be separated by 6 feet. Our children, up until last week when we went into phase 3, they shouldn't have been moving in classes, meaning they should have been in pods. So if they were in an upper grade, that meant that the teachers were doing the moving, coming to them instead of the students moving and going to teachers. Students should have been in one place. And in phase 3, again, this may look a little different across the different school districts, but right now, since we're in phase 3, there may be some schools that are allowing small groups of students to come together, since that crowd size has increased from 25 to 50. That may be going on. You should see frequent washing, frequent cleaning of those high touch areas. And then still going on at this point, there should be a day that is set aside for deep cleaning when everyone's away from the campus, or and the custodians are able to get in and do the deep cleaning that needs to be done. We have all been given these guidelines. I'm on weekly calls with school leaders from across the state. We're all talking about the things that we have to do in order to keep kids and our teachers safe. I want to say, especially since this is a forum for parents, something that is unusual even for me as a parent is that we are not allowing non-essential persons on campuses. And so even I, as a parent, I have not been inside my child's classroom this school year. And I cannot tell you how that's killing me. But I understand that this has to be the policy, again, to minimize the risk to students and to teachers. So again, those are some of the things that should be going on in all places. As we move through the various phases, remember, there will be some variation, but those basics, you should expect to see those things.
And will any of the changes within the different or progress or is there any impact?
I'm sorry, the impact on the different models, say that again?
Like with the learning, the changes in the different learning models?
Will there be changes, or what will changes look like? You should, for
Will
most.
there be any changes with the way that the kids are graded or how they are tested or any
Oh, okay. Yes. All right.
will that be affected at all by the changes?
Yes. Students will
learning online or face to face.
Students will have families will have the option, I am sure, for a while to continue to engage in distance learning. And so then simply by virtue of the fact that it is distance learning, it is digital based learning, then how they are assessed is going to change. One thing, however, that has not changed, the State Department has not called off assessments for this year. So all of those spring assessments, as of today, are still in place. So we are still working to prepare our kids for spring testing, because we have not been told that our state will cancel those assessments. But yes, assignments should look well, they have to look different. Where kids would usually have like manipulative things to build with, play with, they may or may not have them depending on the capacity of the school to get those kinds of materials to students who are choosing to stay at home. What is also different probably in the classroom is that now teachers are having to balance teaching the students who are in front of them in person and teaching the students who are watching them on camera. And so I know that it is probably, I know that it's a challenge for those kids who are at home and maybe can't get the teacher's attention like they used to. So that's when communication, from mom and or dad who's watching or who can contact the teacher and let them know, hey, we pay attention to us. We're still here. We still have this question. As we again progress through the different phases, and everyone gets more comfortable with these dual roles that we're playing now, I feel that we will become more effective with it. Remember, this is a change that education had to make in about 48 hours. And so we've had to learn
right on a dime.
learning curve.
Great. Let's keep it on that same note. Let's go to Ms. Shawanda in Missouri. Both of you are parents and you're nurses, right? Ms. Shawanda, tell us First, how many children you have in their age brackets, but how is it as a mother and a nurse? How is it for you?
I have three children that are high school from 14 to 17 years old. And for me, I'm still nervous about the whole thing because due to my job, I'm actually seeing firsthand kind of what some of these people are going through that come in contact with it. And although you have the everything that's in place, that's supposed to protect you, the mask, the hand washing, the sanitizers and all of that, I've seen cases of people doing all of those things and still come in contact with the virus. And so then you have, in the back of your mind, you're wondering, if I send my kid to school, yeah, I can pack their sanitizer for them. Yes, I can say, make sure you wear your mask, but are they really safe?
Right, right. Principal Thomas, can you speak on it? Because you're a parent and a principal. So how are you creating a balance with it all?
Well, I have, I guess, I'm blessed to be able to be partial leader of a K-8 charter school. My two younger children come with me. I have a fifth grader and I have a seventh grader. And my oldest daughter is in high school. She's in 10th grade. And so my younger two, I was comfortable bringing them to school with me because I know the precautions that we are taking on campus. Whereas, a lot of parents don't have that relief. They're not at school with their children. They don't know quite what's
Right.
going on. And I have the ability to, make sure that all of the safety measures are in place, that we're doing everything we possibly can to keep our children safe. My oldest daughter right now is 100% virtual and is due to return to school hybridly next week. And she is apprehensive about going back to school and being in contact with others. And I think, we as parents, of course, have some apprehension, but also our children, our students, feel that. And so when it's time for them to have to go into the school building, is making sure that they're emotionally ready to go in there and that they know exactly what they need to do to keep themselves safe. So yes, I'm definitely on both sides. And so when we have parents call in asking about questions, what are we doing? What does homework look like? What's going on with this distance learning thing? Then I'm able to kind of speak to both sides and just reassure them, hey, my children are here as well, and we're doing everything we can to make sure that your students are safe.
Oh, wait, KJ, I think you're on mute.
You on the go, Minister? I'm sorry. I was talking. I feel like I was on Zoom again. Just talking,
It's
talking,
okay.
talking, and on you. Go ahead.
That's all right. That's all right. So, what are some things that you would family?
If the question was sent to me, I missed it. You froze.
Oh, am I doing to help keep your family safe? How do we, quell some of those fears that our students would have, that our kids have? What are some things that you guys
Mhm.
are that
So
and
what we've
continue?
done is, try to ask the parents to be proactive in letting the children know that, wearing a mask is fine. I, it's there to keep all of everybody safe. So the more you can practice wearing your mask, the more you get used to wearing it, the happier you'll be during your class time. Sammy had to join in. Apologies. Um, the other thing is just, to practice the
No,
things that we were
no.
doing the entire coronavirus break. So, frequent hand washing, um, trying to keep your distance in some ways, and just really letting people know that it's the same thing we've been doing the entire pandemic. Now we're just taking this and placing it in a school setting. And so, if nothing else, you'll just get closer to your teachers, not in a physical way, but definitely you're going to be spending a lot of time with these people and you're going to get to know them really well. And so, just knowing that there are some limitations, but they'll be able to see the things that people are doing. As Pastor Dome mentioned, there's a lot of cleaning of high frequency areas. And so you see that throughout the day. You see people with rags and Clorox and machines and, making sure that everybody is safe. And I think seeing that visually, the fact that there's so much cleaning and sanitizing going on will help the children to understand that their area is clean. I'm safe here. I'm healthy here. The same way, we trust schools to keep our children safe during the regular school day at any other regular time of the year. All of the teachers, all of the administration, faculty, and staff have taken that on themselves because they want our families to be safe.
Right, right. I'm gonna kick it to Dr. A and Ms. Shawanda. Can you two go on this question? How do we talk to our kids? How do we settle their nerves? How do we get them acclimated to the changes, sometimes day to day, week to week? How do we make sure they're okay, and how do we make sure they're getting what they need, their education? Ms. Shawanda, jump in first for me. Tell me how you may have had a conversation with your kids.
Well, for me, I've kind of really just not sugarcoated it, just laid everything out. These are the things that could possibly happen, but you need to make sure that you're staying as safe as possible when you do leave the house, if you have to leave the house. And as far as education goes, I'm trying my best to make sure that they're staying on top of assignments as they need to, make sure that everybody's kind of, even in home, I'm making sure that everybody kind of distances a little bit because, as well, my husband and I, we both still leave the house and go to work. And so we're coming back in. So we still have to make sure that they are staying in their areas and that, they know that, okay, yes, we went to work, we came home, we can't really hug as much as we normally do. So it's still a little hard to try to get them, to acclimate to that type of setting. Because, as mom and dad, you hug on your babies.
Right.
And, I do have one, the youngest, of course, he's, still a little nervous about the whole return to school thing. He's just really nervous, really, about leaving the house, period, still. And I've been having some, bit of a time trying to assure him that it's going to be okay.
Right. Dr. A, what would you add to that?
Well, the way that we have handled it and at home is we give her 6-year-old understanding of what is happening. She sees the news. She knows that that the virus is something that is serious. She knows that we have a responsibility to do things to help prevent the spread. We have emphasized, we have to do these things not just for us, but also for grandma, because grandma is at risk for getting the disease. So we have to be very careful. And so prior to school, and we did make the choice of sending her back to school once I knew what the school had prepared in order to make sure that they follow the CDC and state guidelines. And I was comfortable with, yes, they are doing this, and I can see the additional measures that have been put into place and so forth. We talked to her about that. And so even as a first grader, and at her school, they are required to wear masks starting in the second grade. But even as a first grader, she chooses to wear her mask every day. She knows to, take those extra measures that some of her classmates may not be as diligent about. And I think that that's one thing that as a parent you have to do. You have to assess the risk. And I've read the literature. I know what Johns Hopkins says about COVID in children, but I've also read about the spread. And so we have been able, I don't want her so concerned that she cannot function as a 6-year-old, and she's afraid to be a 6-year-old. But we have taught her to be careful, and that's the way that we've proceeded. I want a well-adjusted 6-year-old. That's the same attitude that I take towards the kids that I serve every day. I tell parents, I want you to feel comfortable sending your child to school. I can tell you what we've done. I can tell you what we will continue to do. Ultimately, I will continue to give you a choice. And I will make sure that you have a quality education, whatever your choice may be. But do know that these are the things that we are doing.
Awesome. Minister Emily? I think we're all having a little Wi-Fi issue tonight. Ms. Thomas, could you speak to the parents about the different resources or tools that they can use? Some parents are teachers, so they may have it a little easier because they know what to type in on the internet to pull. Could you speak to the parent or the guardian who doesn't know where to even begin, or even tech problems? They're not tech savvy.
Right. Okay, so parents who have issues or who are looking for additional resources, I would say honestly that the first step is your best resource is that teacher. It is very important during this time of COVID, as we'll say, to make sure that you build a good relationship with your student's teacher. There should be open dialogue on both ends. If you have questions, then you should be able to feel free to ask them and know that you'll receive a response. So definitely your first resource would be your teacher. Other than that, I mean, we know it takes a village to raise a child. So it would be talking to your friends who may have children of the same grade level. It may be contacting someone in your church that teaches or has children of that same age. It could be friends, family who have children of the same age or close in age, and their district may be using something that your district isn't using that may help you explain or understand what is going on with your students. But definitely schools right now, at least what I've seen, have gone above and beyond to make sure that anything that is needed that may be supplemental to what is going on with these lessons, or how to work technology, or how to gain access to technology or internet. They're putting every resource that they possibly can out there. And if you ask, then they are willing to do the research for you and say, hey, we understand this is the issue. Give me a day or so, and I'll get right back to you with, what is needed to address your problem.
I think Minister Emily is back with us. Maybe. Okay. There you go, Emily.
Can y'all hear me? I know that some of the extracurricular activities are still in transition. What would be your recommendations? And this is just open to the panel. Recommendations to provide enrichment like kids orchestra, after school programs like band or gym. What would be your recommendations for those enrichment activities?
I'm glad you mentioned Kids Orchestra. They do actually have a virtual component that they put in place around March. And so the child was involved in Kids Orchestra in the spring. Kids Orchestra automatically transferred them to that virtual component. They still have a virtual program that is going on. Kids Orchestra is music instruction. They do strings, and I think it's strings instruments, with professional musicians, and just check with your school to see whether that is available. Some other things that other sites that I have come across, if you're familiar with STEM, STEM, STEM NOLA. Dr. Calvin Mackey down in New Orleans, he does hands-on virtual activities with kids. I think I get those emails maybe once a week. And right now they're at no charge. Usually he travels from place to place with those. And it's usually a gathering of kids coming together with scientists to do science. And so he has those virtual activities now. So STEM NOLA, NOLA, is in New Orleans, Louisiana, STEMNOLA.com. That's a good resource that I would also share with you. Other resources that I would share include Khan Academy. I love books. Epic Reading is an app that I would recommend. Learning A to Z is another that I would recommend. You can almost do a Google search on whatever type of activity your child is interested in. Azaria showed me one the other day. If she comes past here, I will ask her. We were doing, I think, cosmic yoga. Okay. And that was on YouTube, and we're doing yoga moves while the lady's telling a story. So just a Google search will bring up some rich experiences. And I do believe that it's cosmic, COSMIC, cosmic yoga, if you need to do some moving with your kids. Now, for those of us who are a little older, sometimes it's hard to get out of those poses, but it's a good bonding experience. Okay.
I would also like to add to that, if your children, as I said, I'm a theater buff, if they are into acting and being on the stage and doing things like that, most theater programs for children within this pandemic have set up an online component to where they are accessing and providing those classes to children through online classes. I know we have two for sure in Lafayette, CYT and Wanderlust. I believe I saw both had online components. And so I'm sure in Baton Rouge and, surrounding areas, that if you look up children's theater, that there is a way for them to access that information and participate online.
Awesome. Let's stay right there for just a second as we begin to slowly wrap the conversation up. I want to jump to Ms. Shawanda. Ms. Shawanda, how have you helped your kids adjust to creating their own schedule? They don't have the bell, or they have a ding on Zoom, or they have to set their phone alarms. How have they transitioned to being more independent?
Well, honestly, it's kind of they're on their own, to be honest, because typically they're getting started before I leave the house for work. Dad's already gone before they get up. So it's like, okay, you're supposed to be online by this time. You need to make sure you watch the clock. You're old enough to keep track of it. Don't be tardy. You shouldn't be tardy, especially since you're at home. All you have to do is go from one room to the next, or just click a button. So usually I'm, like I said, I'm leaving the house as they're getting started. So then by the time they're kind of wrapping up or at lunch, midday somewhere, I'll stop by for lunch. I'll leave work and come home for my lunch break and make sure everybody's where they're supposed to be and everybody's attended class. But I love the fact that the way schools are set now, they'll let you know automatically if your kid either didn't log in, if they logged in late and were tardy, or if they just completely missed the entire day. So I would know if something happened. So I love that fact. So unfortunately, we've kind of had to make them mature a little bit earlier at this point.
Right. Okay. And I'll open the floor to the other panelists. How can parents get their kids situated? What are some tips that they can go to? How can they set their kids up for success?
I encourage parents to make sure that you communicate with the teacher. If the virtual learning experience is too much, let the teacher know. It may be that your child just does not have that attention span, and it's not good or bad. It's just that we're different. Some can make it through 30 minutes, some can only make it through 15, and our teachers are able to adjust when they know. And also keep in mind that sometimes some parents, some students are too shy to communicate what they don't understand in front of other students. And these are Zoom meetings, much like this. And they're looking at their peers who may or may not be looking as interested as they really are. And so parents, we need you to be able to have your child that to you, and then you communicate that to the teacher, because we still need you greatly involved in order for us to be successful. And since we know that there are, I relate to you, Miss Johnson. I was a terrible homeschool teacher the entire spring semester. I did nothing. My child ran the house, frankly. But what I do know is that there needs to be a line of communication, so that when you ask your child, well, what did you accomplish today? And the good thing with a lot of the software that we have today, check to see if your child has done what they were supposed to be doing, so that you can step in and ask the teacher, even if you're not there watching them log in every day. There is now an electronic record of everything that they have or have done. So I encourage you, stay in contact with the teacher. The teacher is not your enemy. The teacher, I assure you, is working as hard as they can to accomplish all of this for all of our children. So I encourage community, be the child.
Great. You can go ahead and answer, and then I have a follow-up question for you. Go ahead.
My takeaway for this season has been the term grace. And every time I speak to teachers or parents or even students, I tell them that not only do we need to have grace for these other individuals, but we need to show some grace to ourselves and understand that what we are doing is completely different. So knowing your child, you know your child best. My youngest is a performer like me. Give him any opportunity to sing and dance in front of anybody, whether you ask him or not, he will. So I made it a point to put an actual desk in his room. And his sisters know, hey, every once in a while, you might have to pass in front of his room to make sure the TV is off, that the music is off, and that he is actively engaged in what is going on. So it's setting up the surroundings to where your students can be successful, knowing what works for them, what doesn't work for them. The smaller people we tend to see do better with the noise canceling headphones, so that they can be more in tune with what is going on there. We are pushing for our older students to have their cameras on, so that we can see what you are doing. Even if you blur out the background, nobody needs to know all your business, but knowing that you are there and that you are engaged and not, playing Fortnite or something else. So it's just making sure that you have set up your child's environment for them to be the most successful in how they can. And then once again, just showing everybody and yourself some grace. It is not going to be perfect. Do not look for perfection, because you will be saddened every time. Show yourself grace.
I love that. Show yourself some grace. You mentioned something, and Dr. A, you mentioned it too. And as we, I think Minister Emily has a few more, like 3 more questions for us to go through. I can't remember who mentioned it. Dr. A, you mentioned how even we as adults, we can only handle 30 minutes, 60 minutes of Zoom meetings. what do we say to the parents who have kids with exceptionalities? How do we help them through this time? Because they're not used to giving their kids the accommodations that they get at school. So how do we operate through that?
Again, that's going to be in partnership with the teacher. So your child has accommodation. If you have a child who is an exceptional student, your child has an individual education plan, an IEP, that states how the education of your child should be handled. So whether it is written in that plan that your child gets shortened assignments, your child can only for so many minutes before they need a break, your child must have assistance. You need to make sure that you work with your child's ESS teacher to make sure that the assignments are being adjusted for your child's needs, and to see what else the teacher can do to provide that assistance. It may be that your child gets pulled into another Zoom room, gets pulled into a breakout room, they call it, to work directly with another adult who's in the classroom. Um, you you have ESS parents, ESS students. You have I don't want to say not necessarily benefits, but there are measures that are put into place to make sure that your child has access to quality education. However, that is defined for your child in the IEP. So make sure the IEP is current, and then make sure that with that so that you can know what the teacher is doing to make that your child's needs are being met.
Ms. Thomas, you want to add anything to that?
Yes, but in a way.
Okay.
Dr. Domain definitely covered everything dealing with our ES students. But I wanted to speak a little bit to our students that may not have accommodations in place, or just our students in general, and more to our parents. Most of the schools just spend a lot of time doing diagnostic testing to determine what learning path their student is on, what they need to learn to be ready for the spring assessments that Dr. Domain talked about or spoke about earlier, that the state of Louisiana has not canceled. And so what we noticed during that diagnostic process is, of course, our parents don't get the same training that we do as educators. We are taught now that, our students need to struggle a little bit. Growth and learning are not comfortable. And so sometimes they need that think time, that processing time. And we as parents see that as, wait, they don't know, they're not getting it. And so our first instinct is to help. Not knowing that in helping, we may be hindering some of this growth and this learning process. So what we would like for parents to know and understand is, trust the process a little bit. Know that it might be a little difficult for your student to get hold of a concept right away, but that's okay. We're here to teach them. That's the point. So reaching out if you have questions to the teacher and discuss that instead of, following that initial instinct to say, no, what is this? And give that, that growth a chance to happen.
I'm
Thank you
glad
for
that.
that. Thank you.
Excuse me. I'm gonna call her Dr. Thomas because I speak that into existence for everybody. Oh, I'm glad that she said that because it put me immediately in the mind frame to recall what happened this spring when we as parents started trying to help our children with math. And we have come to understand that our children are not taught math the way that we were taught when we were kids. Eureka math is different. And I saw so many memes on Facebook, and they were funny at one point, and then it made me want to cry at another point, because what we don't understand is that starting in almost kindergarten, our children are being taught algebraic concepts. And so, yes, they taught us shortcuts. That's why we struggled so much in Algebra 1 and Algebra 2. Our kids are learning those concepts early. And so struggle is good. Thank you, Dr. Thomas, for saying that. That's part of that growth mindset that we need to teach our children, that stop running to try to give them the answer and give them time to figure it out. It's okay. If they do everything, they wouldn't need us, right? So thank you for raising that point. Thank you for sharing that.
Minister Emily.
Well, if there are any other questions from our panel, anybody wants to add any closing remarks while we're wrapping up here, this has been a blessing, okay, to me, especially as a parent. Thank you all so much for so much information as well. Are there any closing remarks?
Well, I thank you for the opportunity to share. I thank you for the opportunity to share with other educators and parents and healthcare professionals. We are all in this together. It's good that we're on this panel together because we're all in this together. And so I encourage all of our parents who are watching, our students who are watching, know that the adults are on your side. We're struggling a little bit too, just like you, but we are here to help you. We are here to serve you. And we just want you to have a successful school year.
Ms. Zuri, can you leave us with remarks from a healthcare professional moving forward? How can we prepare our kids? What can we put in their book sacks? What can we do to prepare our kids?
I would just say, make sure that they keep their mask, hand sanitizer, even if they could have like a little hand soap, because, from what I've been told, from other teachers, I know they don't always have the supplies that they need. So, if they could have their hand soap that they don't have to share, with other kids, and remind them, that now is not the time to be sharing with everyone, that would be the main things that I would say, just to make sure that they're keeping their hands clean and keep their mask on.
All right. And Shawanda and Ms. Thomas, would you like to leave us with a few tips, words, suggestions? Leave us with something good.
Well, I would just like to kind of piggyback as well. Make sure they're wearing their masks, their hand sanitizers. And I mean, one of the things that we kind of noticed around school that the kids kind of ended with, no, you couldn't, do your normal handshakes. You couldn't give your friends a hug or whatever. Give them an elbow bump.
And I would first like to say thank you, Dr. Domain, for confirmation, because you are the second person to say that to me this week. So I believe that. Thank you, ma'am, for being the lights. I would also like to thank all of you again for inviting me on this panel. I feel honored that you thought of me, to come and speak to our parents. And I'd like to echo everybody else. We are definitely all in this together, and not just us on this panel, but, most educators are parents. And so a lot of us, understand both ends of the spectrum and what is going on. And so just understanding that there are people out there who love your children and who love you and who want the best for your family are going to make sure that your family is safe, that our families are safe, and that going forward, that our community, our family is safe as a whole. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. And I'll leave with this, and then I'll kick it to Minister Emily. When you see an educator, whether it's a custodian, bus driver, cafeteria worker, anybody, give them air hug, an elbow. They're working hard. They're working hours to prepare our lesson, a 40-minute lesson. So give them a shout out on your social media pages. Let them know that you see the hard work that they are doing. All right. Minister Emily, back to you.
Before we close, I just want to thank everybody once again for being here. I know it is busy, but we are in unprecedented times. I'm so grateful for all of the information that has gone forth. I would also encourage everybody online and on the panel as well. Please continue to pray for each other, lift each other up in prayer, cover each other, and miracles are still going forth. So continue to pray, and don't worry, we're in this together, and we're going to get through it.
And on that, okay, go ahead.
All right, so that's going to conclude our discussion, right?
Yes, that's it.
That's going to conclude our discussion for tonight. And I'm going to hand it over to Mr. KP, who has been an outstanding resource tonight. Thank you guys so much for all of your help and amid all of the technical difficulties as well. Grateful.
No problem. Remember, it's not too late to share this video with a parent, someone you know. Share, share, share. Good conversation. I think we need a part 2 at some point next month, maybe, to check in again, keep this conversation going. As Minister Emily said, we thank you all for joining us on tonight. We hope to see you this Sunday at 9 a.m. That's Elm Grove and New Canaan on YouTube and Facebook. Check us out 9 a.m. We're going into a new series, some great things happening in the month of October. Once again, y'all be safe, be blessed, wear your mask, wash, Germ-X, all of that good stuff, all right? Until next time, y'all be